Factorio Space Age, a wonderful expansion to an amazing game which forces you to set up a massive interplanetary logistics system of platforms moving between each planet. But what if, instead of using many platforms to do the logistics, you use your entire base? Welcome to Warptorio 2 Space Age, a hardcore Factorio mod that requires you to master the art of spaghetti, combat, and teaches you the fine art of running away. Before we begin, here's how this will work. I will be playing this multiplayer mod by myself, which means maximum suffering and maximum playtime. There are recommended difficulty settings which I do begin with, but I change those later down the track because they're recommended for more than one person. To the best of my knowledge, here's how the warping works in this mod. In the beginning, you only have access to Navi, but once you unlock other planets, the planet you warp to cycles randomly between those planets and a void world. Each planet has a modifier, and these are the tiny planet with little baby resources, the hostile planet with death world settings, the resource planet with maximum coverage and maximum richness, and the ribbon world planet with a limited maximum height. The start of this mod gives us a brief grace period with no attacks and no warp timer, but you'll quickly see me blow through this and completely forget that I am playing a warping mod and not regular Factorio. Such is the power of this amazing game, delightfully categorized as a Class A restricted substance. First thing we'll do once the game starts is clean up the spaceship and vertically integrate some local stones and rocks. After that, we'll set up a quick coal snake to get us some early game coal, and then continue on with the burner phase of Factorio. As it stands, not much is different in the initial parts of this mod. And you can already see that I'm really just trying to expand the burner miners on the iron patch. Iron is the biggest resource demand in the early game, so more iron equals less early game. The next part of this run really is just more of the same. Hand forging the most beautiful miners and furnaces, fit for a king if you ask me. Opposed to iron, you barely need any copper in the early game, but we may as well get some now, even though we won't use it for some time. Our coal snake has expanded substantially now, getting close to some industrial revolution levels of production. Seeing the error of my ways, now instead of just mining the copper, I've decided it's high time we smelt some of it. Who knows, maybe I do know what I'm doing. And now it's finally time to build the most simple lab setup. 2 labs, a boiler, 2 engines, and an offshore pump. This is going to start to eke out some of our early game science, but I will also forget about this later. Now with the labs, we'll set up our research queue to go for automation, gun turrets, military, walls, logistics, and radars. I don't know yet how bad the biters will be, but I do know they will be. So you may as well prepare for what will be, and handcraft 160 red science packs. But obviously this is an automation game, so as soon as I have that researched, it's off to craft some assemblers so I don't have to use my grubby little mitts. And this simple setup goes a long way in the early game, reducing the amount of time and pain required to burn through the red science packs. Just a simple bit of automation is all it takes. Gun turrets research and more expansion to iron production lead me to tell you a little bit about how I play games. Now usually I would react much faster to those biters chewing through my copper setup, yet I seem to be completely oblivious. Well, it was absolutely astonishingly late at night, so I had the game muted. We only barely escaped with our lives, and now the real trials begin. Those biters were just the warning. Let's just skip ahead a little bit to some massive expansions and some defenses for our puny little mines. And just as predicted, the biters are none too happy that we've decided to use their home planet for an interdimensional pyramid scheme. So knowing that at some point this little platform is going to get warped to a different planet, I start stockpiling some resources, just in case. And as you well know, chests are very useful for this. And after handcrafting some more supplies, we'll set up some simple ammo automation. Again, no idea how much we'll need, but it sure as hell isn't zero, so let's get some. We'll also automate walls, upgrade our chests from wood to iron, and lose our entire coal mine because I don't have audio during this session. So with that kick up the arse, let's get some mass production going. First thing we'll want is gears. Each assembler here represents a handcraft I don't have to do, so I can craft more important things like turrets. We'll rebuild our coal mine, tend to our other mines, and begin researching on something called ground platform upgrade. I have no idea what this will do, but I need to do something if I'm going to try and win and get off this planet. And upon researching it, I see that it's changed my platform tiles to some sort of stone, and unbeknownst to past me, began the time to warp, which means in 10 minutes, everything not on that platform will be gone. Switching up our platform to automate more science, I can see other researchers called factory platform upgrade. Now when starting a new mod, it's always best to just research and hope something changes your situation, especially in one where biters are such a looming threat. And that's interesting, it deleted my assembler and spawned a capacitor, and also some funny coloured concrete. And the green one seems to be an elevator to the bottom floor. I'm sure I'll have no issues in the future with accidentally going down floors when trying to walk past. Using the factory floor, we'll move our stockpiles into a protected area, and then we'll use some gun turrets on our platform, so hopefully we can do more of our work in peace. And with some new research, we seem to have locked some belts that go between the floors. This is absolutely so useful, but certainly seems a little bit limited. And just like that, we've totally lost everything on that surface. I really need to make sure I'm watching the timer next time. I bet that won't happen again, I'm sure of it. But it seems we've just encountered our first resource-rich planet. On Navis, this means a small island covered entirely in ultra-rich ore patches. We only have 10 minutes here until we get warped again, so let's move. We'll set up a radar, some water pipes, and power. As well as get some simple ammo automation. It's hand-fed, but goes a long way to keeping the base safe. We'll also set up a simple ore sorter to automatically stockpile resources. Again, any small automation means more time to focus on biter management. The attacks are getting pretty constant now, so we'll keep our beautiful smelting protected on the factory floor. And look at this! I thought the waves were getting a bit silly, and these spitters are literally walking on water at full speed. So let's begin the pack up. We'll get our water pump and pipes, as well as our belts and miners, because every lost building represents a pretty substantial amount of effort, so best to just keep them safe. Oh my god, that was already a lot of biters. Let's get out of here. And it seems we've landed on a tiny planet where resources are in much smaller patches. Without any productivity, these patches might not even last 10 minutes. So we'll set up power and restart our research. No point wasting time. Place the labs. And remake some of our simple hand-fed science assemblers. And thanks to that research, Ground Platform 2 has been researched. That's a substantial amount of room, but I reckon it'll go quickly given we need to have turrets everywhere. And here we are placing the turrets. No point making them automatically fed yet, we just don't have the room. Don't forget, we still have to place the miners down on every surface. And looking at the research tree, it seems we can get 50% mining productivity from just red science. That will make our mines 50% more ore for free. Absolute godsend in a mod like this. But just as quickly as we started on this planet, we have to pack up. Ended up having around a minute to spare before the warp, so maybe I can get a little closer next time. But here we go. Next warp is a ribbon world planet. Normal patches, normal terrain, but limited world height. Not entirely sure how this affects us, but whatever, we've got things to do. Like organising the platform, I want to have power as a permanent fixture. And I was going to set up an iron mine, but that base is far too close. Let's see if I can get rid of it. And I died. Those frost spiders spawn a cloud of hurt gas upon death, so even if I wanted to, I couldn't have killed them without dying anyway. But with the turret wall, I'm pretty confident I can set up our miners and just eke out a few resources before we have to go. And speaking of go, here we are packing up ready for our next warp. Skipping ahead, Warp Zone 5 is another resource planet. So I've set up some automated iron and steel. While these waves do get hectic, you do get a brief grace period before the biters can attack you, which you should definitely use to set up as much as you can. Trickling in from handcrafted supplies is some green science coming from this awful setup. After setting up another coal snake, it looks like there is a pretty nasty attack building in the north. But you can see that even with the base in the north, attacks are coming from everywhere. Mods like this make setting up more furnaces such a pain with all these constant biters. But since we're on a resource planet, we'll set up copper and stone bricks. But not even a minute later, we are forced to pack up as the waves are increasing in difficulty and running our turrets out of ammo. Look at how many biters are attacking us right now. So let's just pack up and get out of here. After a while, our ammo production no longer meets demand and we'll use more iron staying than we would if we just left. After a while of slowly babying the labs, we get warped to our first hostile planet. It's extremely lucky this time. Usually biters will be spawning within your turret range and you'll be in a constant battle at the start. But here we don't have to worry about that and we can just observe the locals, especially these cool toxic biters. But as soon as our warp cooldown is over, we'll warp to Zone 7, another resource planet. And after harvesting as much ore as possible, we're going to warp early. Warp Zone 8 appears to be a barren, grassy planet. Now this is a void world, and we'll be using these 10 minutes of peace to rebuild the platform. After placing some more labs, I've just unlocked an upgrade to our factory platform. This has given us a decently large space below the surface platform, and we'll continue to upgrade this. And knowing that the factory platform is safe, we'll rearrange our surface platform to do our research and allow for some automated coal pickup to the boilers. And onto the factory level, we'll increase our buffer sizes, start smelting large amounts of iron. Then once that's all moved around and done, we'll automate some simple supplies such as gears and belts from the iron. Then from the copper belt, we'll automate wires and make circuit crafting easier. And while we're automating some stone bricks, we're warped to a normal planet. These are again completely normal, but end up having very large attacks due to the natural biter attacks on top of the waves. But we'll run a huge belt up to the coal and iron, place some miners, and begin our automation. We'll also give them some turrets for defense. And don't forget about the most important fuel for the boilers, the water. We'll put some surface assemblers that we can easily swap between recipes. And watch our ore belt get ripped apart by some funny green biters that explode when you kill them. So it really is a lose-lose if they get close. But we'll rebuild and get ready to leave. God, these explosive biters are getting pretty difficult to deal with. We've just lost at least 30 seconds of handcrafted turrets. So let's fully pack up and get out of here. Warp Zone 10 is another hostile planet, and we've now had a new feature of the mod unveiled. We're stuck on the factory floor for a set amount of time. But going topside, we find out that again, we're very lucky not to have constant attacks. Unfortunately for us though, Warp Zone 11 proves that luck runs out sooner or later. Once we go topside, we see that worms are already taking shots at our turrets, and any attack has already lured biters into a constant battle. Midway through the battle, I die, and we just start to lose a huge amount of turrets. This is so painful, and I need to get out of here. So after our 2 minutes are up, we're able to warp out to Warp Zone 12, a ribbon world, which is a nice break from the violence. And that's what's so crazy about a mod like this. One moment you're fighting for your life, and the next moment you're setting up a water pipe and miners. It's a never-ending battle between resources, biters, space, and your own Factorio paralysis. If you're the person who gets stuck when they have to set up a new miner, you should steer clear of this mod. It'll have you scrambling to set up an entire base in 10 minutes. But as I'm packing up, our turrets run out of ammo and the biters take this opportunity to destroy our boilers. Not cool. And on to Warp Zone 13. We have a very similar planet, so let's get some resources. Turn our platform into a giant furnace stack. And then set up some miners for some mixed copper and iron. And not 5 minutes later, we have to take it all down, because again, we're about to get warped to a different planet. And while we wait out the timer, let's upgrade the furnaces. Twice the smelting speed for the same footprint is pretty insane for like 5 furnaces. So Warp Zone 14 is another void world, which means I'm going to stand around for 10 minutes handcrafting all the green science packs I can. Warp Zone 15 is a hostile planet, another lucky spawn, but for some reason I thought I could take out the base and get some iron. We end up losing a turret, I destroy one base, and leave. What a waste of like 20 iron. So let's just leave. We can't really get any resources on hostile planets yet, so warping out is really the only thing to do. And it seems we've landed on a ribbon world. We'll connect the water, queue up some green science, run a nice long belt to the ore patches, place some copper miners, iron miners, and some turrets. This is actually the first time I've been able to relax since starting this mod, so enjoy the cinematic. But soon after, we've researched another platform upgrade. This is probably enough space now to finally get some automated defenses going. But of course, a tiny lapse in concentration leads me to warp without preparation. Judging by the amount of corpses, I'd say we got pretty lucky that nothing else got destroyed. So let's set up a perimeter wall of turrets, fed by a circular ammo belt, just like the base game. We'll use the copy and paste function to make sure we get everything even and finish up building. We'll then go down to the factory floor and switch one of our gear assemblers to ammo and send that top side to automatically feed the belt. And here we are, fully functional and fully defended. Mid-construction of the new power plant, we get warped to Zone 18, which is a hostile planet with explosive biters. We need to get out of here as soon as we can. Watching the constant attacks, I can't wait to warp. And Zone 19, thankfully, is a void world. Warp Zone 20 is a resource planet, so let's use our time wisely and get some ores. Coal and stone are included in that. More iron furnaces so we can use it to stockpile some plates for handcrafting. With our warp timer about to be extended, the attacks are going to get more fierce, so I think it's time to bring the miners closer in case we need to make a speedy getaway. And within 3 minutes of that, a big creature is spotted. And while I have an inkling of what that is, I still want to catch a glimpse. Yep, and there it is, a giant frostbiter. I do not want to deal with that, so once spotted, it's time to leave. Warp Zone 21 is a tiny planet, but at least they aren't any huge biters to instantly ruin my day. After a while though, the attacks are getting a bit much. I can see another ground platform research, so I'm gunning for that now. Usual pack up procedure, make sure we leave nothing behind and get the hell out of here. Warp Zone 22 is another ribbon world, and I'm starting to notice that I haven't seen any oil yet. And since we're slowly whittling down the red and green sciences, blue science is on the horizon, but that could be a problem if we can't find any oil. But we'll set up the miners, get some iron. And we'll also add a tank to store water for when we can't get any, like on Void Worlds. We'll restock the green science assemblers, die, and helplessly watch our miners get destroyed by the biters. These frost biters seem to be a lot tankier than the regular biters, and of course when you kill them, they activate martyrdom and kill you posthumously. So let's pack up belts, miners, and power poles. And the biters are still attacking me. Can't they see I'm trying to get out of here? Look at the size of these waves. We're chewing through ammo, but for some reason I just desperately wanted my pipes. Now let's get out of here. Warp Zone 23 has some nice ore patches close together, so we can have a huge flow of resources coming in. Mixed patches are actually so much better than separate ones for us, given our constraints. And with some room to breathe, we can enjoy another brief cinematic and just let the base run. Yeah, so the attacks are getting a little bit too much now, so I think it's time to pack up and leave. Usual pack up procedures. And just as I'm getting the final belt packed up, a huge attack hits the southeast corner. And on Warp Zone 24, we just set up the iron mine and defenses so we can restock our ammunition and recover from the last attacks. Yeah, nothing much happened after that, so on to Warp Zone 26, another resource planet. You can't see it under all this ore, but we've also just unlocked the next ground platform size, so once we can build up enough resources, we're going to expand. And we've also researched ground platform repair. To this day, I still have no idea what it does, so if you do, let me know in the comments. Yeah, and a big creature was spotted, so it's time to GTFO. Warp Zone 27 is a tiny planet, and here's a better view of the new platform size. This is definitely going to allow for some automation on the surface as well. Warp Zone 28 is a void world, which means it's time to rebuild. I'll keep quiet and let you enjoy the building montage. And of course, 20 minutes is not enough time to rebuild the platform, so mid-build we get warped. Resources can wait though, we need to get this done before the attacks. But once we do get it built, it's time to spam out the miners and fill those furnaces. And now time to get some automated copper and iron plates on the surface so we can make our sciences without handcrafting. This continues the trend of me redesigning the entire platform every time it spans. No, this won't change, and I will not apologize. And since we've finally set up science, got resources coming in, we can have another brief rest and enjoy some cinema. But the amount of corpses now is getting pretty ridiculous, so let's begin pack up, leaving the turrets till last so we don't get flanked by a crafty biter mob. Another planet, another cinematic. The game at this point is just about chewing through research, but I'm still looking for oil on every planet and have yet to be successful. And finally, on Warp Zone 32, we find some oil, but it's absolutely swarming with biters, so we have to get in and get out without being able to actually set up a pipeline. Hopefully we'll be able to get some oil later. Spoiler alert, we don't. Warp Zone 33 brings us to a hostile planet with explosive biters right on our walls. I do manage to set up a cheeky little iron mine to keep some ammo going. And as I manage to take out the last base, I get blasted in the process. Turns out those bases explode way more than I thought. But finally, to wrap up today's episode, Warp Zone 34 is a peaceful planet. So, thank you all so much for watching the first episode of our Factorio series. I want to shout out the YouTube members Cairo and Danish for their continued support of the channel. And I want to thank all the members on the Discord for keeping me sane while I record this series. And if you liked it, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye bye.